Today's collectible spot, we're having a look at the Medicom The Dark Knight Rises Batman action figure. Coming from DC Comics and Medicom Toys. This is number 2, I assume, the Mafex number 2 indicated at the top there. And this is Batman from The Dark Knight Rises. Spot picked this up from the good folks over at Big Bad Toy Store, so I'm going to provide the link down below. If you are interested in picking up the Medicom Batman, by all means click the link down below. Spot picked this up, though truthfully only really went by images that I've seen of the figure, and actually it looked pretty good at the time that I was looking to purchase him. And I don't know, in hand, maybe I'll reserve judgments until I actually get him out of package. But down below, there's a picture of Batman right there. That actually is the picture of the figure, and not so much of Batman. And on the side, once again, a picture of the figure itself. On the back, many different poses that you can put Batman into. A slew of different accessories, and by slew, there's actually only 7. But you can also go to, find an address for you, you can go to www.medicomtoy.co.jp to go to the official Medicom website. No read-up or anything like that. What I am though going to do is take a break, going to get this open up, and when we come back we're going to have a better look at the Medicom Dark Knight Rises Batman. Don't go anywhere, there's more on the way. And for your consideration, Medicom has also included a display base for the Batman figure. Comes in 3 pieces. It comes with an extendable and, not so much extendable, but a articulated arm. Articulates down at the bottom, midpoint, and up at the top. And also at the very top there is a claw, a little claw piece that you can clamp around the figure's, I assume his leg or his waist. Though by waist, I mean, I don't know if it's going to clear waist, more likely probably like a leg or an arm. There are 3 points on the base that you can peg the arm into, like so. So if you could have it on the side if you wanted to, on the back. I haven't picked up any other Medicom figures. Perhaps this is a standard stand that comes with all those figures. It would have been nice if they had put something on there to distinguish the fact that this is for Batman, whether it be the Batman logo or something like that, but it's all right. I know with Play Arts Kai we get clear bases too, so I'm not devastated or anything by it. Once again, clear plastic, so I don't know the longevity or how durable this will be in years to come, but a nice inclusion certainly. As for his accessories, Batman does come with a couple. He comes with his grapple gun, which you'll be probably looking at this thinking to yourself, that seems a little short, a little stumpy. I kind of think the same thing. I know the grapple gun is a stumpier, it's not a very long-barreled gun. Obviously, because Batman wants to hide it, it's easier for him to carry it if it's not a long weapon. But still, it seems like it's a little too small. In fact, if we take one of the alternate hands, and this would be the alternate hand fitting for the grapple gun. I don't know, perhaps it's of proper scale, but it does seem like that grapple gun is a little too small and a little too stumpy for the actual hands, or at least for the sizing of the figure. I would think it should be just maybe a little bit longer, not by much though, but just a little bit longer. Some nice paint on it between the gold and the silver. Some nice work done on there, and as you see the whole time, there's one of the alternate hands that Batman does come with. He does also come with another 3 pair of hands. And lastly, the other accessory he comes with is his EMP gun. There might be a more technical term for it. This is what he uses when he's chasing Bane and the other his other henchmen on bikes, and he's firing this. This is nicely detailed, though it has no light up or anything on the end, or even if this was all white, little white pieces on the end rather than the darker color that they've used. Something just to kind of give it an idea that it's currently working, because if you could put it back into Batman's hand and have him looking as if he's using it, this would have been nice if this had been a whiter end to it rather than just being a straight out gray. But there's the detailing on the gun. Somewhat simplistic with coloring, it's just the basic black, but everything Batman has is black. So, and then finally he does have some hands, several different hands, some of which used for more holding the grapple gun, some used for the EMP gun. And then finally, of course, we have Batman. Now, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about this figure just yet. In packaged, when I opened up the initial flap, or not so much even the flap, when I looked at the front of the package, the front window of the figure, I don't know. It seemed a little off to me. Out of package, it's a little bit better, but I feel like there's something slightly off on the head. Whether it be a little too big for his body, or it's just, I don't know, an unsatisfying head sculpt is maybe a good way to describe it. There's the side of the figure there. Maybe it's just the face, like maybe from like the eyes up, it's actually a pretty good looking figure. But from the mouth section, there's just something about it that seems uninteresting. That's probably a horrible word to describe it, but because I mean, as a whole, I'm happy with the figure. But I find like there's just something off in the head, and it's almost as if the way that the head is, it's throwing off everything else that's on the figure. Because everything else on the figure is done well. It's extremely articulated. In fact, that was one of the selling points, really got me interested in it, was because you're essentially getting a similar style to Movie Masters Batman, but you're getting a very super articulated Batman. And that's a really nice piece for displaying purposes. You know, you can have a super articulated Batman. One of the main reasons why Spot likes the Play Arts Kai figures so much is because we get really good detail and we get a lot of good articulation. With the Medicom, you're getting very, very similar on par stuff. Now, I'm even looking on the back, and there is, yes, a section to house the EMP gun, a little peg on the back there. And no, actually, that's not the case. Excuse me. I saw a peg on the back, but that's actually for his display base. We just take this off. This would also this would explain many things for me as well. Just move the cape out of the way. The peg of this display base pegs into Batman's back. Now, you would have to have it a certain way that it doesn't look like Batman's just hanging off of this base, but at least it's something. I like that added touch. But looking at everything else on the belt, there doesn't look to be any section for him to house his grapple gun or certainly his EMP gun as well. There's no space that I can see. You can also see, obviously, that Batman has a cloth cape, which is a nice treat for people who probably have seen so many plastic capes. The Movie Masters figures did have cloth capes too, which was a nice touch. No, actually they didn't. Excuse me, they did not. They had plastic capes, did they not? So yeah, it's a nice treat to see a cloth cape on a Batman. As posing though, I mean, you can't do so much with a cloth cape as probably what you could with a plastic cape. But now, as for his articulation, now this is really the draw of the figure itself. He is extremely, extremely posable. For starters, with his head, he does have a ball joint in the head. Easily moves left and right, up and down. He does also have a secondary ball joint in the neck. It doesn't move as easily as what the head would be. And when obviously you start moving the neck too much, it looks a little off from where it's supposed to be residing. When you get to the upper torso is on an extremely generous ball joint. It moves quite a bit around. A very generous lower torso. The arms go out. Completely out, actually. Let me just pick that back in. It's just a ball joint, so it's not a problem. A ball jointed arm, though, so it moves out, front and back. He does have a bend and rotation. Actually, he has a rotation up at the bicep, a bend in the elbow. He has a rotation, what looks to be a ball joint in the hand. Then when you get to the legs go forward, back, out. It's weird the way they got the legs. The legs, they're on ball joints, but the way that the ball joint is, you can actually dislodge the leg. Can you see that? In fact, let me zoom back a little bit so you guys can get a better idea. You can pull the legs further down. Now, obviously, you wouldn't want to do that because that would hurt and kill Batman. Perhaps it's for him to sit. Let's investigate that theory. Well, no, not so much. You can still bend the legs with the legs further up, but you can slightly dislodge those legs. There is a big gap, though, where those legs are due to the fact that that hinge is where it's sitting. That's a bit of a jarring point to me, though. But the legs do go forward, back, out. He does have what looks to be a double bend in the knee, a double bend and rotation via there's a hinge joint in the foot, and then there's a hinge. There's a hinge in the toe as well. So you can get some really nice poses out of Batman, but I find the overall execution, I don't know, it seems like it's missing something. Something seems off about the figure. From a distance, it doesn't look too bad. When you get closer to the figure, though, there's something about the head that I'm just not digging. The head seems off to me. Do I like the articulation? I do, but it kind of also makes, which is a point that I didn't comment on, having such a super articulated Batman also means he's very loose and fidgety. To try to get him in a good position where it doesn't look like his torso sitting too low, and try to get his upper torso in a suitable position, it seems like you do have to do a lot of adjusting to get Batman sitting just right. Would I recommend it? Well, that's the hard part. The figure itself, I believe, is about $30, give or take. It's probably even a little bit more than that. So it's not a cheap figure. Would it be something that's comparatively to a Movie Masters, would it be as good as a Movie Masters? Well, obviously, Movie Masters are a much cheaper figure. It doesn't have as much articulation as the Medicom. But I feel like on a detail level, you're getting about the same as what you would with the Movie Masters. You're just getting a lot more articulation. So for that reason, I don't know if I would necessarily recommend it unless you really like Batman and you don't mind paying a little extra for a figure because it has so much articulation. I think if I was going to give the Medicom Batman from Dark Knight, I think if I'm going to give him a rating, I'm only going to give him like a 7.5. He's very articulated. I can't take that too much away from the figure itself, but it also just makes for a very, very loose feeling figure. And again, there's just something about the sculpt on the head that I feel could have been just a little bit better. Today's collectible spot, we're having a look at the Medicom The Dark Knight Batman. You guys can weigh your thoughts in down below. Let me know what you guys think of this particular figure, and if you feel the figure is worth the price tag it's asking for. Certainly, though, stick around. Spot's got more collectible spots heading your way. See you guys next time.